All right, so we're gonna dive into all this stuff about the Grafton monster that you sent me.
Yeah.
And we've got like old newspaper articles and even like encyclopedia
Yes.
entries and like a blog post with a pretty crazy theory.
Oh, cool.
This is gonna be a good one.
Yeah, it really is amazing how this story from like 1964 is still such a big deal.
Right.
People love the unknown, I guess.
Yeah, totally. So, for people who don't know this story, can you give us like the basics? Where and when did this all start?
So it all started June 16, 1964,
Okay.
on Route 119
Okay.
near Grafton, West Virginia.
Okay, got it.
And that road, it runs right along the Tygart Valley River.
Oh, wow. So like
Yeah.
extra spooky.
Definitely spooky, yeah.
So, the person who first saw this thing, it wasn't just some random person, right?
Exactly. It was Robert Cockrell, who was a journalist,
Oh, wow.
and
Yeah.
he broke the story in the Grafton Sentinel.
Wow.
Think about it. Journalists are trained to, like, be objective, right? Like,
Yeah.
they report the facts. So when a journalist tells a story like this,
Yeah,
it makes you kind of stop and think.
that's a good point. So what exactly did Cockrell see?
So he said he saw this huge white creature,
Uh-huh.
like 7 to 9 feet tall
Oh,
and
wow.
like 4 feet wide.
Wow.
He said the skin was slick like a seal almost.
Oh, that's creepy.
But get this, he said he couldn't see a head.
Okay, no, that's where I'm out. I
Yeah.
would just nope right out of there.
Yeah, that's really scary.
No head. That's like next level creepy.
Yeah.
Did he find anything else at the scene, like any evidence?
He did. He said he found like trampled grass
Okay.
right where the creature had been.
Okay, interesting.
So that's like physical evidence.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And he also said that he heard like a whistling sound
Oh, wow.
that seemed to follow him and his friends when they left.
No, thank you. You said he was with friends.
Yeah.
Did anyone else ever say they saw the monster after Cockrell's story came out?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Once that story hit the Grafton Sentinel,
Yeah.
the newspaper got like a ton of calls from people saying that they'd seen it too.
Really?
Yeah, it's like everyone in town suddenly had their own Grafton monster story.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So we've got a good eyewitness,
Mm-hmm.
physical evidence,
Yeah.
tons of reports.
Right.
It sounds like there's got to be something to it, right?
You would think so, but
Yeah.
here's the weird part. The Grafton Sentinel, the same newspaper that printed Cockrell's story,
Yeah.
later they tried to say it wasn't a big deal.
What?
Yeah, they said it was just like spring fever or something, and they
Oh.
even said that the monster could have just been someone pushing a handcart full of boxes.
A 7-foot tall whistling handcart. Come
yeah,
on.
right.
That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't really.
But even though the newspaper tried to backtrack, the story had already taken off.
Yeah, that's true.
People were obsessed.
Oh yeah, teenagers were forming monster hunting groups.
What?
Yeah, trying to prove that it was real.
It's crazy how stories can just blow up like that.
I know, it's really interesting. So if it wasn't a handcart,
Yep.
what are some of the theories about what it could have been?
What did people think it was?
Well, one theory is that it was an escaped polar bear.
A polar bear in West Virginia.
I know, right?
That's random.
Yeah, and there's no record of any polar bears escaping from anywhere near there at that time.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It could explain, like, the size and the white color,
Yeah.
but it doesn't make sense that a polar bear would be there.
Okay, so probably not a polar bear. What else?
So another theory is that it was an alien.
Okay.
This idea came from Gray Barker.
Who's that?
He was a paranormal researcher
Oh.
who also looked into the Mothman sightings.
Oh, yeah, I know about Mothman.
Right, and that was in Point Pleasant,
Yeah.
which is only a couple hours away from Grafton.
Oh, wow. So there could be a connection.
Maybe Barker thought so.
That's really interesting. So did Barker have any evidence for the alien theory?
Mm-hmm.
Or was it just like a general feeling?
He was known for, like, connecting the dots
Okay.
between different paranormal events. He didn't have, like, hard evidence
Oh.
linking the Grafton monster to aliens,
Okay.
but he said that the way it looked and acted
Mm-hmm.
fit with other paranormal cases he'd seen.
Interesting.
So he thought it could be from another dimension.
Wow. So we're talking about more than just animals now.
Yeah.
This is getting into like the unknown.
Right. What if it's not from our world at all?
Exactly. What other theories are there?
Well, another idea is
Yeah.
that it wasn't an alien, but it was still from another dimension.
Okay.
Like it accidentally traveled here or something.
That's like straight out of a sci-fi movie.
I know, right?
And then there's that one theory from the blog post,
Oh, yeah.
the golem theory.
Right.
That one's pretty unique.
Yeah.
Can you explain what a golem is?
So in Jewish folklore,
Okay.
a golem is a creature made from like clay or mud that comes to life through magic.
Wow.
And they're usually created for a specific purpose,
Like what?
like protecting a community,
Oh, that's interesting.
but they don't have free will. Oh, and sometimes they can get out of control.
Oh, no. So is this blog post saying that the Grafton Monster was like a magical protector?
It's definitely a far-out theory,
Yeah,
but it's interesting.
it is interesting.
What if the Grafton Monster wasn't just some random creature, but it was created for a reason?
Right.
Maybe it was supposed to guard something or warn people about something bad happening?
That really adds a whole new layer to the story.
It does.
It makes you think about why it appeared,
Exactly.
not just what it was.
Right. This blog post is really making people rethink the whole Grafton Monster legend. It really is, and it makes you wonder if it was a golem, what was it supposed to do, who made it, and why?
Those are good questions.
And why is this theory so popular now?
Right.
What does that say about us?
Interesting. So we've talked a lot about the creature itself.
Yeah.
But I think it's time to step back and look at the bigger picture.
Right.
This all happened decades ago, but people are still talking about it.
It's true.
Why do you think this story has lasted so long?
That's a good question. Well, I think it's partly because of the creature itself.
Yeah.
I mean, the description of the Grafton Monster is, like, really scary.
Yeah, it's very...
This giant white thing with no head, it, like, taps into our deepest fears, you know?
Yeah, totally, like the things that go bump in the night.
Exactly. The unknown, the unexplainable, all that stuff.
And it's not just the creature, right? It's also the location.
Oh, yeah, for sure. West Virginia is, like, the perfect setting for a story like this.
Totally, with all the forests and rivers and stuff.
Yeah, it has this mysterious vibe.
Like there are secrets hidden everywhere.
Totally. And speaking of mysteries, you mentioned Gray Barker earlier.
Yeah, he investigated both the Mothman and the Grafton Monster.
Right.
Do you think there's a connection?
Barker definitely thought so. He never really said what the connection was, though.
Oh, really?
But it's interesting to think about. They were both seen in West Virginia just a few years apart.
Right.
And they were both described as, like, super weird and otherworldly.
Yeah, and both sightings caused a huge stir.
Exactly. It's like West Virginia was a paranormal hotspot in the 60s.
Right. Do you think maybe it was because of what was going on in the world at the time?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Like maybe all the social and cultural changes?
Yeah, the 60s were a crazy time.
Totally,
Like Cold War, the Civil Rights Movement.
Yeah.
People were anxious about the future.
Right.
So maybe these stories about strange creatures were a way for people to deal with all that uncertainty.
Like these creatures represented the things that people were afraid of.
Yeah, the things they couldn't control.
And it's interesting that a lot of the theories we talked about, like the alien theory and the interdimensional theory, they kind of reflect that feeling of like the world being on the edge of something big and scary.
Exactly. Like, what if everything we thought we knew was wrong?
Right. And that brings us back to the golem theory. It's not as out there as aliens or interdimensional beings.
Yeah.
But it still taps into that same desire for control in a world that feels chaotic.
Totally. Because golems are created for a purpose.
Right.
They represent order.
Like someone's trying to make sense of the chaos.
Exactly. And if the Grafton Monster was a golem, then the question is, what was its purpose?
Yeah, who made it and why?
Was it supposed to protect people, or was it something more sinister?
Those are great questions.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps people so fascinated.
Yeah, we don't have the answer.
We just have to keep guessing.
The Grafton Monster is like a puzzle that everyone's trying to solve.
And even if we never find the answer, just trying to figure it out is fun.
Definitely. It keeps us thinking and imagining.
It reminds us that there's still mystery in the world.
Exactly. So where do we go from here with the Grafton Monster?
Right. We've looked at eyewitness accounts. We've explored different theories.
Yeah, and we've talked about the historical context.
What are the key takeaways for our listeners? Well, I think we can all agree that the Grafton Monster is like more than just a scary story.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like it shows how much we're fascinated by the unknown.
Right. Like there are still things out there that we can't explain.
Exactly. And maybe that's what makes it so interesting.
Yeah, like it makes us question what we think we know.
Right. It reminds us that there could be things out there that we don't even understand.
It definitely keeps things interesting.
And the Grafton Monster isn't just a thing of the past either.
That's true.
It's still going strong.
Yeah.
Even after all these years.
People are still coming up with new theories.
Right. And it's even popped up in pop culture.
Oh, yeah. Like in that video game Fallout 76.
Exactly. It just goes to show you how powerful these stories can be.
Yeah, they really capture our imagination.
And they can last for generations.
Totally. They become part of a community's identity.
Right, like a shared history.
Exactly. It connects people to a specific place in time.
It's like these legends become part of the fabric of a place.
Yeah, and for Grafton, the Grafton Monster is a big part of who they are.
It's like their own personal monster.
And they even have a festival now to celebrate it.
That's awesome. It's like they've embraced the legend.
They have, and it's actually brought them together.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that even the weirdest stories can have a positive impact.
For sure, they can make people curious and creative.
And they can bring people together.
Exactly. So, to everyone listening, I encourage you to learn more about the Grafton Monster.
Yeah, check out the sources we talked about.
Hear about the different theories.
And maybe even visit Grafton.
Yeah, see the place where it all happened.
Who knows, you might even find a clue.
Right. Something that helps explain the mystery.
And most importantly, keep an open mind.
Yeah. The world is full of surprises.
The Grafton Monster is just one example of how much we don't know.
So what do you believe?
Yeah, what resonates with you about the Grafton Monster?
To make you afraid of the unknown.
Are you fascinated by the unexplained?
Or do you just wish that magic and mystery were still real?
Whatever you think, we hope this deep dive has made you curious.
Yeah, and we hope it's inspired you to keep exploring the world and all its weirdness.
Keep your eyes open. Your mind's engaged.
And never stop wondering.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the Grafton Monster.
We'll see you next time.